Hey, welcome to Tiny Mike Micro News. I'm your host, Lindsay, and it is officially Libra season, y'all. We want to balance the scales of justice and reach harmony in all of our relationships. Libra season is the best season because it also ushers in fall, and fall is simply the best, okay? Speaking of harmony and justice, there are a quick couple things that I want to point out that have been in the news recently. Now, I'm sure at this point we've all seen the horrible images of officers on horseback wrangling Haitian refugees. The reality of this kind of imagery was unacceptable 400 years ago, and it's unacceptable today. Now, the photographer who took these photos has been clear that he did not witness the officers whipping anyone, thank God. But the fact of the matter is that this imagery is shockingly reminiscent of the inception and foundation of this country. These images are a sharp reminder that the institutions that govern are built on the pillars of white supremacy. Compassion for refugees must be met with more than just a feeling. We must do in order to change. There are resource links in the comments below because there's still work to be done. There are people who have been doing this work that we can support and we can follow. As life has started to go back to normal, we've lost focus and our attention has been split over the divisiveness of a very dangerous global pandemic. Do you guys remember in the early days of this pandemic, before there was a vaccine and we were all forced to take a break from the grind culture that keeps us stuck? Remember the 9.5 minutes you had to go hold vigil with your community for George Floyd last summer? And now we have the miracle of this vaccine and life is beginning to go back to normal, but I don't want to go back to normal. Those people being wrangled by officers on horseback do not want to go back to normal. Images like that should never become familiar. I don't want to hustle just for things to stay the same. We have to break the patterns, and breaking patterns is some of the hardest work we will ever do. Now, it really does require that we rest, which is what so many of us got at the onset of this pandemic. So I urge you to reclaim that necessary part of your existence and your efforts. Because so much of what hurts us in life is so familiar to us that we don't even recognize it. Like the emotionally unavailable lover we allow to take up vital heart space. Like the family role we never even auditioned for. Like the unchecked oblivion of a capitalist grind culture. Like white silence. One more thing before we go. There is so much national interest in the disappearance of a young white girl, and I'm finding it extremely unsettling, the amount of attention non-white women don't get. Now, to be really clear, this young woman deserves justice, and I hope her family finds peace and that justice. And I am truly sorry for the loss of life and the emotional pain that young girl was probably in for the days or weeks leading up to her disappearance. But I also really hope we as a nation refuse to only be interested in the disappearance of and crimes perpetrated against young white women. There are countless accounts of our young women of color, just like Petito, that have been here one day and then gone the next. And we never so much as hear a word about it or see a single photo on national news. Those girls deserve justice too. Those families deserve peace too. As we change, the world around us has no choice but to accommodate for that change. It starts with one, and then it will take all of us to shift into a cultural norm that values and serves everyone. And I'll say it again. There are people who have been doing this work that deserve our attention and our support. Because remember, there is no voice too small to be heard. So keep your ears open, keep your heart open. And we'll see you next time on Tiny Mike Micro News.